Hi there, welcome to my mini workshop on a mandala with the intention of self-love. I'm Mara Carlini with Mara's Mandalas, and today we're going to make this self-love mandala from start to finish. First, let's find the true center of a square canvas with my X technique. Match your ruler's edge to the top left corner and bottom right corner of the canvas and draw a light line. Then turn your canvas, line up the same corners and draw another light line. The center of the X is the center of the canvas, called the true center. Now we're going to make the cross guidelines. Line your ruler up so that it intersects with the left side of the canvas, the true center dot, and the right side of the canvas. That ruler should be perfectly parallel when you draw your line. Then turn the canvas, lining it up just the same, and draw another light line. All of the lines on your page right now are referred to as the main guidelines. Next, let's make your circles. We're making 4 circles here. The first line on the ruler should line up with your center dot. Since this is a 6 by 6 inch canvas, the 3-inch mark lines up with the right edge of the canvas. Make a mark on the canvas guideline at these measurements: 1/2 inch, 2 inch, 2.5 inch, and 2 3/4 inch. Remember, you can always re-watch the first portion of this video until you get it right. Now it's time to make your circles. Take a deep breath, get your compass, and set the compass up on the canvas with the pointy end on the center dot. Place the pencil end on your first hash at the 1/2 inch mark. Use the pencil end to draw a circle lightly on the canvas. Repeat this process on each hash until you have your 4 circles. Again, don't worry if a mistake happens. You can simply pause the video and erase it. While you're making your circles, check into how you're feeling and remember to breathe. Great job, you did it. Remember, it just takes practice. Now we're going into the design of the mandala. I'm starting in the center and making a little flower. So start here with 1 petal, a tear-shaped petal with the point on the center dot. Here we're going to create a guide circle to help you with your sizing. To create your guide circle, grab your compass, just like we did before, place the pointy end of the compass on your center dot, and place the pencil tip on the first tear-shaped petal. Use the pencil end of your compass to place a dot between each guideline, as you can see here, so that you know where the top of your petals should end up. So you can see what I'm doing here. After you have measured, draw all the rest of the petals. Now they'll all look even. Great. Our next flower is the set of lotus petals, which I call the Hershey Kiss lotus petals. The first step is to make your first lotus petal the size that you want it. You can do this by placing your pencil where your main guideline meets the circle and draw a Hershey Kiss shape, just like I did in the video. After you have drawn your first lotus petal, and the rest of your lotus petals will need to be the same size. So here is where we create another guide circle to help you with consistent sizing. Make a guide circle just like you did before. Now's a good time to come back to being mindful and just take a few breaths. After you've measured, go ahead and draw this layer of lotus petals. And as you're drawing these petals, just be mindful of your breathing. It's easy as that. Now let's add a longer leaf shape to the design. I'm making it a curved V shape, as you can see here. Make a line starting on the center of a curve on one of the lotus petals and make this tall curved V so the tip of the V meets on a guideline. Now we make a guide circle. This just keeps everything consistent without making so many guidelines. I like making things simple as possible. Now I'm just going to make all of these V-shaped leaves here. And I'm using a cake spinner. It's just a simple cake spinner, and it just helps me to make the same shape, as you can see as I turn the mandala. But if you don't have one, you can just turn your canvas or make the same shape all the way around. Similar to before, this next layer of lotus petals is going to be between the leaves. Start on the center of a curve on a leaf and draw one side of a lotus petal so the tip is centered with the tip of the petal from the previous row of petals. Mirror this shape on the other side and you'll see it's a Hershey Kiss petal. And now another guide circle. Remember here to breathe and draw the rest of the petals. Now that you've got the hang of it, remember to check in with your breathing and check in with the intention of self-love. After this row, I'm going to make another layer of lotus petals, starting at the tip of the lotus petal layer that you just drew. Line your pencil up with the tip and draw a curved line to meet the guideline this time. Mirror that on the other side, and then, of course, another guide circle. See how you get the hang of it? Soon it'll just be free flow for you, and you won't have to think so much. Continue to make these petals. And remember, don't rush. The process of a mandala is about being in the present moment. Take a moment here and fix up anything that you need to before moving on. Now, if you have room for one more lotus petal, let's do it. Start with the tip of the last layer of petals and end this petal on the second circle. I usually just eyeball it and eye it up where the middle is on the circle, just halfway in between the two guidelines. Great. Just remember to breathe and then congratulate yourself for doing the inner circles. Let's add something fun to the outside circles now. I like to use this lotus petal that we have going on, so let's do another row of lotus petals, and let's just keep it easy. Start at the tip of the last layer of petals, which is right where it meets the circle, and then draw the curved line to meet the third circle and the guideline. It's easy here, just go with the flow and follow along. I'm going to add another petal in between these ones after. So once you finish this row, we're going to start at the center of one of these petal curves and make a petal that ends on the last circle like that. And that one lands in between the two guidelines. If you need to, you can pause the video anytime and go back and check it out. Great. Now we're going to be on the last layer of petals. So start on the center curve of one of the last petals that you just drew and draw the curved line to meet up with the guideline in the corner. It's going to extend outside of the circle, and that's okay. This really makes a cool effect at the end. So do this all the way around. Oh, and make a guide circle because that will make all the corner petals even. You'll only be able to make a full lotus on the corners, and those edges will have sort of like a half of a lotus, but it will still make a really, really cool effect. Now I'm going to make cute little outlines outside of this last layer of petals, just about 1/8 of an inch around each petal. It just kind of gives it some emphasis, and it's giving me ideas for detail, which is really important and really fun for making mandalas. It keeps you in the moment and it keeps you really present. So remember, we're not rushing. We're just enjoying the process. All right, you did it. You made your full outline for your mandala in just 10 minutes. Great job. Your mandala looks amazing, I just know it. Now grab your eraser and get rid of all of these little guidelines. This is a great time to take a breath and relax and just erase these main guidelines in between the lotus petals. It'll make your life easier for painting. All right, once you're done erasing, the hard part is done, and now it's time for fun with painting. Now I'm going to choose a color palette, picking out a few colors that I want to start with. You can use the same ones I'm using or choose any color that calls to you for self-love intention. I'm going to show you the exact colors that I'm using and mixing so you can follow along with that, or you can learn from the colors that I'm making today. Feel free to go on your own path with your own colors and follow what your heart is telling you to do. Okay, so I'm going to put a drop of each of these colors onto my color palette, my paper palette, about the size of a pea or a dime. Not very much because this canvas is small, and I'll tell you, a little bit of paint goes a long way for mandalas. If you want to know more about the paints that I'm using, go to www.maracarlini.com and sign up for the Mandalas and Mindfulness course. This is where I go into great detail with supplies, painting techniques, and meditations too. There's a welcome video about the supplies, so that's where you can learn about everything that you need for making mandalas. I'm dipping my brush into some white paint here. And if your compass made a hole, no worries, that's what this is for. Just drop a little bit of white paint in the center here. And it might take a few layers to cover up that hole, so just you can let that dry and see if it covers it enough. Then paint the center of this flower white. I'm using a liner brush. You can see here, it's the smallest brush and it's really thin and great for detail. If your paint isn't flowing smoothly, you may need to add just a little bit of water to thin it out, but not too much to make it too transparent. We want it to still have good coverage and cover the pencil lines underneath. White paint is great for whiting out lines and colors too. Do you see how solid it's making this flower? There's no evidence that there's pencil underneath it. That's what makes paint so cool. And this is useful to know for your own project while moving forward. In case you need to cover anything up, you can always use white paint. Now, off to the side here, I mixed some yellow paint with the white to get this pastel yellow color. Mixing paint, any color, with white weakens the color and makes it into a pastel shade. White makes every color less vibrant, but it creates a beautiful light shade like this. So I'm continuing to paint around this flower. And you can see it does take a little bit of time, but that gives you a chance to be mindful, be present, and not rush. It's not about getting to the end. It's about being in this moment. For the first layer of lotus petals, I mixed bright orange with the pastel yellow I was using, and it made it into a pastel yellow orange. I like using bright colors in the center of a mandala, especially one like this, because it's going to be nice and bright. Especially with some darker colors that I'm planning on adding in a little bit later. Now that you're in the flow of painting, this is where you really want to stay mindful. Feel the paintbrush in your hand, listen to the strokes of paint against the grain of the canvas. Breathe deeply and allow yourself to relax. The key is to making mandalas mindfully, and that's not to rush, but be immersed in the present moment. It's all about the process, not the finished product. In Buddhism, monks make sand mandalas with impermanence in mind. It's like their intention is impermanence. Impermanence helps us to realize the true nature of ourselves and nature and how everything around us changes. These monks put weeks or months into creating sand mandalas to only perform a ritual of releasing the sand from the mandala into a natural waterway, like a river or a pond. All of these months of work just eliminated into a waterway. Why would they do that? Well, it's a practice of impermanence, and a practice of impermanence shows us the power of the present moment. So think about it. Have you taken care of your body today? Have you given it enough water, nourished it with the right kinds of food, moisturized your skin with lotion that keeps it healthy? When drinking, eating, or even applying face lotion, say to yourself, body, hi, I'm here for you. I am here for myself. I am grateful for my body. I am grateful for my eyes, which are functioning well, and my hands that move for me when I ask them to, and my ability to express myself through my body. Say things like that. These are just small things that you can be grateful for every day, showing love to yourself. Take time here while you paint to appreciate your body and allow it to relax as you paint. Even relax your jaw, relax your neck and your shoulders. Notice anywhere where you're holding tension and just allow yourself to release and relax into painting. There's no need for stress here, only peace and calm as you paint. You can see here that I've made just a little bit of progress. It does take some time, but right now it was a little bit of a planning phase where I'm planning out the colors, doing some mixing here. So right now I'm using a quinacridone magenta mixed with permanent rose and a little bit of teal, which is going to give it a little bit of a purple effect when I do the magenta with the teal. And I'm getting this darker color on the petals outside of the orange petals. Then I kind of did some planning and I want this light pink to be the next layer. And all I'm going to do there is add white to this color. So it just makes it a different tone, a different shade rather of this quinacridone magenta. And that's going to kind of make the dark color, the darker one, pop a little bit, adding a little bit of the light behind it. So I'm going to move along with it so you can see how that's going to turn out. And just kind of let you relax as you paint your mandala and watch. Okay, so I got a bit of a bigger brush now that things are moving along, and I'm getting to some bigger petals. So when you get more to the outside of the petals, the outer rings, you can use bigger brushes. Now I'm using a mixture of raw sienna, white, and a little bit of primary yellow to get this gold color. I did also add just a hint of teal. I really like to mix my colors to get the exact shade that I'm looking for, but you do not need to do that. If you like the color straight from the tube, then use them like that or mix them with white to get different shades. I don't recommend mixing them with black. You'll kind of get gray tones and things get a little funny. So if you do want to darken your colors, I always recommend using the opposite color on the color wheel. So if you're looking at a color wheel and you wanted to darken pink, which is a shade of red, if you want to darken pink or red, you're going to add a little bit of green to the pink. If you're wanting to darken the orange, like I wanted to darken this gold orange here, that's when you want to add a little bit of blue. So that's why I added a little bit of teal. And if you want to darken, what's the other one? Purple. Let's go the other one. If you want to darken yellow, then you want to add a little bit of purple. So yellow can still darken purple. It makes it just like a deeper tone when you add in the other color. And that's just some little bit of color wheel theory. Here I'm using the same shade of magenta, rose, and a little bit of raw sienna to paint the outer corners. This mandala, I wanted to have a boho feel, which is kind of why I chose these colors. Boho colors are usually earthy colors. Boho stands for bohemian. It's usually some earthy colors like browns and beiges, and then usually some kind of gem color like greens or golds or pinks, as long as they have like an earthy tinge to them. So they're not cooling colors. They aren't on the cool side. They're more on the warm side most of the time. So that's why I didn't just use the magenta straight from the tube, because that one tends to be a little bit on the cool side. So I added some of the raw sienna, which is kind of like a light cinnamon brown, to get it to be a little more boho vibe going on here with this self-love mandala. So be sure to paint every inch as you're painting here, and do not leave any white specks. So sometimes as your paint dries, you'll notice some white specks start to show up, especially if you're using like a less expensive kind of paint. You might get some white specks, or you might have to do multiple layers of paint. So just, work with the paint that you have and don't leave any white specks, and you'll be happy with yourself. So mandalas are an amazing tool for mindfulness. They help guide you on your journey because they are little reminders. This little mandala that you're making right here will sit on your desk or your nightstand or somewhere you love, and each time you see it, you're going to think of the intention, which is self-love. You're going to remember painting it and remember feeling the positive feelings that you felt while painting it. Think of the self-talk that you are currently telling yourself every day. Is it positive self-talk? Are you saying nice things to yourself about yourself? If not, take some time right now and think of 2 or 3 things that you should be saying to yourself, that you want to be saying to yourself instead. It can be about not only your body, but your mind too. Maybe say to yourself something like this. Something like, I am perfect just the way I am, and I am enough the way that I am right now. I have a body functioning perfectly the way that it's supposed to for me, and teaching me the lessons that I need to learn and grow in this life. I am grateful for my past experiences and the lessons they taught me. I forgive myself for any time that I acted out of fear or stress. I release my worry and anxieties of the future, and I know I will be okay because I take care of myself first, and I listen to my own heart. I know when to rest. I know when to push myself. And I know that I can achieve my own personal potential without comparing myself to others. I am here for a reason, and I have a purpose, even if I don't know it yet. I'm grateful to have this perspective, and any time that I feel lost, I know that I can come back to the present moment where I know I am safe and on this path to live with joy and peace in my heart. Say things like that to yourself while you paint, especially this mandala here about self-love. And as you're painting, release any negative feelings and replace them with positive feelings. So you can see here I have a gallery wrapped canvas that has this thick sides here. So be sure to paint all the way around the edges like I'm doing right now, so that when it sits on a table, it's pleasing to look at from all angles. So now that you've got your first layer of paint down on the canvas, it's time for really fun decorating and detail to make it even more stunning. It's in the details of life that remind us of truth. It's like the butterfly or the flower that helps us to check into the present moment. So that's why detail is so important when painting mandalas. Now I'm going to show you some of the outlining that I do, which is a really easy way to add detail. And this really helps things on the mandala pop. This is a great way to make certain colors pop where there's colors that are similar, or just defining some lines. So I'm going to show you a few things that I'm outlining here, and you can just follow along and watch. And my goal for you is to do whatever decorating that you want to do. Like, you don't have to follow every single thing that I'm doing. I just want to show you some of the things that I do, because your mandala is going to look a little different than mine, because yours is your own self-love. So let the difference be in the details here. Now, one of my favorite things to use is gold puffy paint here. And this adds some 3D effects with metallic gold paint like this. This is what really makes my original mandalas unique and shiny. You can find a list of supplies, like what puffy paint that I use, when you sign up for the Mandalas and Mindfulness course. The link is below this video. And you'll find my secret supply list in the welcome videos there. That gives you all the names of all of the brands that I use for paint. So I do a lot of detailing with puffy paint. You can see I do outlines, I do some dots, and this just really gives it a really fun effect. So make sure you get your hands on some of this paint, and this will take your mandala to the next level and give you a really fun experience too. I really love kind of using a tube like this too. Like brushes are really great, but this, it gives a nice new mindful feel. So whatever detailing you're doing with your mandala, make sure that you're connecting and recognizing and feeling, what's happening in the moment. Stay with your breath and just let the magic happen. This here is an example of me using a liner brush to add some of these frilly details. It's super fun to just grab a liner brush and then just doodle like this, making swirls and twirls all around your mandala. And here I'm using a round brush to create these kind of doodles. It might be hard to see in this video, but I use the tip of the round brush to create a thin line, and then I press downward like a stamp to get this thicker round shape, kind of like a long teardrop shape. And I love this technique. It's super fun. It's a little tricky. A lot of the detailing work definitely takes some practice, so you might want to get the hang of it on scrap paper before doing it exactly on your mandala. For more detailing work and my step-by-step secrets, more in depth, you'll want to sign up for my Mandalas and Mindfulness course, and the link is below this video. So continue to watch me as you paint, and remember that the dots and the doodles go a long way with mandalas. Remember that when you paint your mandala, you want to be relaxed and in the moment, never rushing or pushing to finish. If you ever feel like you need a break, take one and then just come back to it. The key is to be in the present moment and create peaceful thoughts as you paint, which will bring peaceful energy into your painting. So as you can see here, I'm finishing up my mandala with these details. Do you see how these details really push it to the next level? It's so cool. So that's what you're doing with your mandala right now. So take your time and enjoy the process. When you finish, take a picture of you and your mandala and tag me on Facebook or Instagram at Maras_Mandalas, because I love to see what you created. So please tag me. I love to see it. If you want to know everything that there is to know about mandalas and how they create positive change in your life, sign up for my Mandalas and Mindfulness online course, where you'll go in depth about mindfulness techniques. We'll learn 8 guided meditations and all about chakra energy too, and how they relate to mandalas. You'll find out what your personal meditation style is and why you're drawn to certain colors. You'll learn your heart's truest intention, what you truly desire in your heart, and how to really infuse your mandala with energy. And you'll learn my secret techniques with your own 12 by 12 inch mandala. Also, check out my mandala and art shop, where you'll be inspired with more original art, including mandalas, angels, and abstracts, and mandala products like garden flags, greeting cards, coasters, and more at maracarlini.com. If you had fun in this mini workshop, please subscribe to Mara's Mandalas email list where you'll get the latest updates, discount codes, weekly inspirations, and more. Sign up for my special list at maracarlini.com and also subscribe to Mara's Mandalas YouTube if that's where you're at. Thank you so much. It's so amazing to share in this mindful journey together with you. Enjoy your mandala on self-love, and I'll see you and your mandala soon, and I'll see you in the next workshop.